Second.
Your background, I love it. I'm like, this is my altar. And so I'm whenever someone's always like, I like your candles. And I'm like, mm-hmm.
Yes. Thank you.
We are live on Fierce Street.
Yeah.
Hi. Oh. Happy Saturday. Happy Gemini season. It's forever.
Just like our youth.
Right? I've turned 25 times, and I will 25 more.
Yes.
Just for that. Yeah. So we are here to talk about this first Alien movie, and we are joined by so many special guests. Do we want to just go around real quick?
Sure.
Yeah, no, we've got 3 guests today. So first off, we have Miss Jamie. Welcome, Jamie. If you remember, she was on a Thirsty Thursday last month. Is that right? Am I crazy?
Yes. April, it all runs together.
What is time in a pandemic, you know? And then we have Josh, who is our guest on the Tragedy Girls episode. Welcome back, you two. And then our first-time guest, we have Bobby Torrez. Welcome, Bobby. Since you're the first time, we got to put you through the ringer. So, Number 1, what's your favorite scary movie?
Halloween.
That was easy.
1978, to be exact.
I wouldn't have believed anything else.
I didn't even think of anything else. That's the only movie.
Right.
I mean, you have to say 1978 nowadays, just because I guess the newer generation would be like, well, which one? The new one? Yeah. So you gotta say 78.
Yeah.
So I'm making it clear that is my favorite.
They're not watching the movies.
Are slashers your favorite subgenre?
Yes, slashers, and I go in and out between like possession movies. Sometimes I love them, sometimes I hate them. I don't know. It depends on what I'm feeling. I guess it's the Gemini moon enemy, Sharai. But I will say, slashers would be like my fave. It's a fun time, especially in the 80s.
Yes.
That was a wild time.
So many. There's so many. They just show up to cutting people, and you're like, "What for?" It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Right. So, Bobby, plug all your projects and let people know where they can find you on the social medias.
Oh, well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Bobby Torrez with a Z, not an S. And also Bobby Likes a Spooky YouTube page, and also on Instagram as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's get down into Alien, because I'm sure we have a lot to discuss in this 2.5 hour movie, I feel like.
All of these are so long. I didn't know.
Every single one of them, I like check the timestamp and I'm like, oh damn it.
Yeah.
None of them are under. None of them are an hour and a half. They're all at least 2 hours.
Doesn't it feel like some of them should be only an hour and a half? There's so much.
That's my hot take.
There's so much old school horror tropes in this. You do see it with the original Halloween. You do see it with other movies in the same sense, where they are so long because they just build on so much suspense that rather than, the jump scares being the scary thing, the suspense is kind of what's scaring you, because you're sitting there for 2.5 hours wondering what's going to happen.
Exactly.
I will say Alien did get me, though. It made me scream. The suspense got me, and the surprise jump got me, and it made me scream.
Oh my God. Did you guys, I know Trent and Sharai have seen this TikTok. I don't know, Josh, Bobby, if you've seen the TikTok, but it's like every single horror movie, and it's the guy screaming, and he's like going through his house, but it takes him the whole 3-minute video to get to his front door, and then he closes his own front door.
I see so many. I see one where it's like the Halloween theme. He's like running and tripping, and then he eats a slice of pizza, throw it down.
That's what it is. That was like the entire first. So the first like 10 minutes of this movie we get so much information at once, and then the middle 30 is just people deciding to stop and eat their pizza, essentially, like in the middle of this horror movie. And I love this movie, full disclosure, but yes.
We don't get anybody ripping out of anybody until 57 minutes in, and that is an issue.
God.
That is an issue.
Is it really
57
minutes?
A whole hour in?
It's an hour in for an alien that's like, out of somebody. And I'm like, we could have done this like 30 minutes earlier. That'd have been cool.
But what's so funny is that alien went from a baby to an adult within like 2 minutes.
That's in my notes. Hold on. I'm gonna pull up my notes because I was like gestation period ? Because it comes up in Alien 3 as well, which I know we're talking about later today, but like sometimes they gestate for like hours and sometimes they gestate for like 10 minutes. And then when they pop out, they're fully grown aliens. And I'm just like, so which is it? I don't understand.
I want to see that though. I want to actually see them like grow, shed their skin and grow. I want to see like that whole transformation because I haven't seen this movie in a very long time. So I was happy to watch it again. And I forgot about a lot of things. And when they found the shedded skin, I said, all right, so it's going to take some time for it. And no, that was a full grown 7-foot alien.
Yes.
It's like a kid on a soap opera. It's just like we had it and now it's 22.
Grown.
But like this whole movie could essentially be summed up with just listen to Ripley.
Please.
Like,
Absolutely.
Hashtag that.
Yes.
I think it was also very like apparent because we are living in a quarantine time. And so for me watching the scene where they're like, just let us into the ship. And she's like, how about no? I'm like, oh, I feel it a little bit more now.
Yeah. Like every friend that wanted to come over without a mask on. And I was like, no.
Yeah. And that whole, when they're climbing down the tunnel in the very beginning of the movie and it looks like a throat, I got that feeling. Yeah, I got that feeling of like, oh, they're being swallowed. Like they're literally being swallowed into this whole new world. And so the feeling of like being contained, I think resonates with so many of us that like actually followed lockdown and quarantine. And so,
What?
like literally as they were descending, I just wrote in my notes, I was like, looks like a throat, ? All of my notes end in question marks because I was like, is this an idea or is it just me like overanalyzing things? But yes, just listen to Ripley and this movie would have been like a 30-minute TV episode on Sci-Fi.
Go ahead.
I was just going to listen to Ripley and don't listen to that damn robot because that damn robot got him in all the trouble.
Okay,
from the beginning.
Yes, everything about him grossed me out, and I will never forget watching this for the first time and being like, oh, he's like a weird cyborg hybrid, you know, whatever they call him in the movie, a hybrid, whatever. And also throughout this whole trilogy, I was going to save this comment for later, but Ripley deals with way too many like top halves of men. In like every movie, she's like carrying around the top half of a man. Like,
she's like, you don't need the whole man. You don't need the whole man in 1980s space. Like what you need.
Also, did the special effects like really hold up for anyone else in these movies, or was it just me? Like these first three, especially, I was like, these look like they were shot yesterday.
Yeah, they're really good.
Sorry, go ahead, Sharai.
The special effects are cute, but like the way they saw the future was still very 80s. So like even the spaceship was wearing shoulder pads. And I was like, come on now.
The light bright dashboards.
These chunky screens. What?
Yes.
I thought the special effects were great, but there is one part of this movie that makes me laugh every time I watch it. And it is the scene where Ian Holm, they've got his head, obviously a prosthetic, on the table.
Oh my God, yes.
Before he finally comes alive, you see the cut and you see the transition and now it's Ian Holm alive, you know, underneath the table.
Under a table.
Acting like a head. And I just think it's so funny every time that I'm just like, you know what, every special edition that's come out with this movie, they have not taken that cut out and they have not like fixed that little transition. And I just like, keep it in there.
Yeah. I don't mind it though. It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. It's just something that I notice every time that I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. You could tell the difference.
Yeah.
This time around, I clocked that while I'm still very much, we should listen to Ripley, Parker was the first person to be like, that's a Pevard parade grade. Let's not go in there.
Yeah.
And they were like, can't listen to you. You're the only black person on the ship. We're going in.
Look, Parker he's my spirit animal. I love him. He just sitting here stuffing his face, talking, having a good time. I love him.
Right. Well, if that one lady had listened to him, she might have lived because he was telling her, get out the way. And she was like, I can't. She was so annoying. Yeah. I hated her.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
She was not ready for space. She was not ready for space.
Yeah, she should have been there.
Pat, I saw that comment on Twitch. Or whatever, sorry, not Twitch. I'm so used to streaming on Twitch, you guys. Pat said to remake Alien with me as Ripley. I'm down, but I don't know if I can shave my head. We'll see. But I literally have in my notes, I had Parker is a vibe.
Yeah. He's great, man.
What? He's like,
I love
"Oh,
him.
more money for surviving space." They're like, no. Then he was like, "Let's not go check out this mystery ship. How about we don't do that, especially when you're not giving me a raise?" And they were like, "No." But they wanted to be attacked by aliens. They were out here searching for aliens. They were swiping right on all the scary aliens, and they were like, "Who's gonna eat us? Who's gonna eat us?" And Ripley and Parker were like, "Let's not." What?
Well, and like the whole movie basically turns into Mousetrap, but for adults.
Mhm.
Like that's like literally we got like a smooth, I think it was at like the 1:15, like the hour and 15 mark, and I just wrote like Mousetrap for adults, like with aliens essentially, because they're trying to escape them. But when the face hugger first drops from the ceiling, when that xenomorph drops from the ceiling, that will forever be scary to me. I know it's coming, and I still am like, oh, like every time. But yeah, it's essentially Mousetrap for adults. Like they're like, okay, if we put this here and then we make this person go here, then we can survive this and da da da. And the scene with them banging on the glass, like you were talking about, Josh, and like saying like, let us in. I'm just like, okay, if we're already in space and we already know that the aliens are like inside their body, like, can we just keep them in the little locked compartment? Like, can't we like slide them their meals through the air vents? I don't know. Like, yeah.
But the whole thing was when the face hugger was on his face, they kept thinking, oh, well, it's feeding him oxygen or whatever, like just keeping him alive. They didn't think that it was impregnating him and putting a fucking alien inside of him or whatever. So, I mean, I wouldn't think that I would be in that situation. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know, an alien was still in your face, dude. You might have to just stay quarantined for a little bit. Just a little bit.
Listen, when they show the eggs and they're like pulsing and clear, my like what is it called? Trichophilia, when you don't like a bunch of little holes together.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like itchy afterwards. I was like, I forgot how gross this movie is. I told Sharai, I was like, this whole movie is just like sponsored by KY Jelly. Like the whole series.
There's something soothing about that to me. I don't know, just seeing it like post like that and then it just opened up. I was just like, oh, that's cool. I like that. I'm weird. I'm sorry, y'all.
It's so interesting about that though, because that is one of the like horror tropes of like things that happen in horror movies but don't happen in real life.
Right.
You see an egg on an alien planet and something is moving inside. Who goes in for a closer look?
No.
He went.
Who goes in for he stuck his head in there and said, please jump on me and hurt me.
Yeah, he was asking for it. He kind of deserved that because nobody goes that close.
Right?
I wouldn't.
I think a lot of people asked for things in this movie. Not to jump forward towards the end, but Lambert's death in this movie is always something that I'd be like, why didn't you move? Why did you stand there and cry? You did not move.
The whole time when he was coming after her and then he was going after Parker, that was her chance to run.
She didn't even like. She just cried and cried, and I guess it's something like she was in shock. She couldn't move. She was emotional throughout the entire movie anyway. Maybe she just didn't want to be there.
No,
let it happen.
She should have called out. She should have called out. She didn't, and not everybody did because she kept getting in the way.
She was what Sharai said. She was the weakest link, and I was like, "Listen, I'm all for like. I'm glad we have more women in this movie. Like, shockingly, the casting was like fairly okay for this movie. Like, I forgot how I guess like vibrant it is, or like, I was like, okay, like cool, this is great. And then she started every time she talked, I was like,
yeah. It's interesting too because the actor won a Saturn Award for her performance.
Yeah.
She won a Saturn Award. Yeah. It's also I believe that she also thought that she was cast as Ripley. She auditioned through the process and was auditioning for Ripley, and I don't think it was until she got to her costume fitting where they told her that she was playing Lambert.
Damn.
And they had to beg her and like persuade her so much to take the role, and they convinced her that she was the audience. Like she was supposed to be the connection to the audience. Like
like the audience proxy.
Right. Because
Okay.
she didn't like the fact that the character was so emotional and was just so all over the place. And so like they had to convince her to take the role. But I'm pretty sure she thought she was playing Ripley for the longest time.
Well, and
We all thought we were going to be Ripley, so like she can just get in line.
but
Listen,
but it's really interesting that so they wrote Ripley as just a character. They didn't assign Ripley
Right.
a sex until casting, and they cast a woman because they auditioned both men and women. And then the one woman they actually wrote as a woman is like the emotional,
Right.
and like now I'm like,
yeah.
Yep. That's the
But
ladies.
Sigourney Weaver killed this role.
Oh.
I loved her, and
100%.
I still love her to this day.
Iconic.
I want to meet her someday. She's great.
I know.
Say, people sleep on her because they're all like, well, we have the Halloween franchise, you have Nightmare on Elm Street. And I'm like, Sigourney Weaver was fighting aliens in space, which is the ultimate,
Yes.
we can't just leave the house. The rest
Yes.
of y'all make choices. She's like, I'm on a ship. I gotta fight this.
Yes.
Everybody else is like, I just want to hide upstairs in the attic.
Right.
She didn't have it.
Right.
But
He didn't have an
what?
edit.
I don't. When I think of Ripley and Sigourney Weaver in this movie, I don't think of her as like a final girl. I think of her as like in the same way that I think of like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator, or
Right.
like badass people. Because
Mhm.
you're right. She's not. She's trying to survive, of course, but she's not trying to survive by hiding or, she's just gonna fuck some shit up.
Yeah, especially at the end. Like, soon as she seen that alien hiding, first of all, I jumped again, even though I've seen this movie before. But when she was like trying to do whatever, and then that alien was asleep in that little compartment, blending in, and it just like popped
Yes.
out or whatever. She went into bed, got in her little suit or whatever, and it's like she didn't think twice. She was scared, but she was like, "All right, I'm gonna just get in this and do what I have to do." It's like she didn't go running, she didn't go hiding. She had a plan, so that's why I was just like, Ripley.
And she knew the cat was safe.
Yeah,
That part. I was gonna say, I do like that they added the cat for this, because I know there was a version of the script without the cat. I think it was like something else, but her. I mean, like, how many of us through this pandemic have relied on like pets to like be our like emotional anchor, And it's so funny because she's like, well, as long as I have the cat, like, and I'm just like, Ripley's a millennial, confirmed. Like, it's fine.
yes.
I like the cat more than I like having a kid in space. I don't want to get too far in the conversation.
I was gonna say-
have it.
That's
I
in my
would
notes
much-
for 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of 2, I just want to like full disclosure to you all here and everybody watching. I have never seen, like, as of now, I have never seen the following Alien movies. So this will be me watching these movies for the first time.
Yes.
Wow.
So you are about to get all the hot takes. You are about to get all of the 2021 opinions about what these movies are. Because I watched the first Alien movie actually at the beginning of quarantine, and loved it. It was absolutely amazing. As I call myself a movie buff, but there are still so many movies that are considered like greatest movies of all like cinema history that I still have never seen. And this series is one of them. So I'm really, really excited to get frustrated and scared and happy at the same time today.
Yeah, you want to have a
Get
good
ready.
time.
No.
Yeah,
You're right.
I'm excited.
I can't wait for your thoughts on 2 because I saw part of 2 the other day and I gotta watch all of it today and I have thoughts.
Yeah.
Listen,
So
I'm
can I
going to
just-
say though that 2 is my favorite out of the whole entire thing. Like, I do love Alien because it is more of a horror movie compared
Right.
to 2. 2 is more like an action, but 2 is just more of a good time. It's more fun and just not just dealing with one, but dealing with multiple aliens. And then the characters are exciting too. I just love it. And then iconic scenes like with Ripley at the end, robot, whatever. I know they're going to say that to y'all next one, but I'm just saying, like, 2, that's my shit.
The pacing is better. Like, I know that it's a different vibe, but the pacing is so much better because in this one we spent like 20 minutes getting to know the ship and 20 minutes floating to the new spaceship that we just found. And like, I want to get us there. I am a millennial. Microwave this shit. Let me go. I don't.
so here's my only. Everyone else thinks that this movie is like an hour too long. I think it's only like 30 to maybe 30 minutes too long of
Same.
extra
I
stuff.
agree with you.
But here's the thing: is like when they're walking, like when Ripley is first shown like walking down the hallway with her gun or her. Does she have the flamethrower at that point? I watched this earlier this week, and I've seen this movie like 100 times. But them just like walking in the hallway and like being in the ship, like I try to remember that like it's very The Shining. Like this is essentially if The Shining took place in space, like it's very similar. And I know that The Shining is also like Stephen King's least favorite of all his adaptations, so that's probably saying something. Yeah. But
You don't like The Shining?
I like it for what it is.
Oh, I
but
love
it's not,
The Shining.
It's not an adaptation of the
I
book.
love the book.
It's not an adaptation of the book. The book
I
is
love the book.
completely different.
Right. And full disclosure, I'm a massive Stephen King fan. So like, yeah, I have my beef with every single one of his adaptations. Like there's not a single one that I can't pick out at least two things where I was like, But anyways.
Yeah.
I read The Shining, but I read The Shining in middle school. So to be honest, there's not a whole lot that I remember about it. But the movie, I love the movie. I wonder if I did read the book now, if it would make me dislike the movie.
It would.
It would.
Yeah.
Again, I don't like hate it. I just think it's something I have to go in and remind myself that it's just like a different story. But this there's a scene in particular that I'm thinking of where Ripley's walking down the hallway, and I think you really get a grasp of just how like honestly like effed up it is that they're in space right now. Like I was like, oh my God, it's the line when he's saying how long it'll take them to get back to Earth. And he says like 10 months. And she's like, I'm sorry, what? Listen, how many of us have not had the thought though, if I could hypersleep for like a smooth 5 or 6 months?
I would also say that.
Just let me hypersleep the full 10 months. So when I wake up, my ass is,
rested.
weird.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
And
good.
That's actually something that I thought about in regards to the cat. They're going to hypersleep for months. Is the cat also going to? Who's feeding the cat? That is something that I thought that the cat was there as a device. The cat was there to replace like a child. The cat was there to replace like, the one who instigated like, okay, well, we have to go find this because we got to find the cat in the first place. But the whole time I just kept thinking, I'm like, okay, well, what happens with the cat when everybody goes to sleep for 6 months when they're traveling back to Earth?
Well,
I've genuinely never thought of that.
When she goes into the, I've never thought about the beginning of it, but when she goes into the escape pod, she puts the cat into a hypersleep as well.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the cat's in one of them with them.
Yeah.
I think the cat might have had their own on the way out, but as things blew up, they had to share in the end.
Now I'm just picturing like a kitty-sized pod, and I'm
They did. They're like, you gotta be in space. You gotta need a support animal here.
literally. But I will say that like there were so many moments in this movie where kind of what Trent and Bobby were saying, like they hit so many good like horror quote unquote tropes, but they don't feel like tropes because they're in space. And so like that's why it cracks me up when people are like, oh, Alien's not really a horror movie. And I'm just like, it really scared me as a child. So I'm not really sure, like what y'all watched, but it scares me.
I remember
as an adult.
a few months ago, people were on Twitter like debating
having the big.
Yeah. And I'm just like, child, sci-fi horror, leave it alone. That's what it is. Sci-fi horror. Like it's a horror fucking movie.
Somebody wrote a huge article about it, talking about the reason why it's not a horror movie is because it takes place in space. Wasn't that their argument?
Yeah, that was their
Yeah.
argument. And I'm like, have you never heard of the sci-fi genre? Like,
It makes no sense to me either. I think I mentioned this to Sharai a few times before when we talk about horror films. I don't get scared at horror films. Nothing exactly.
What Ryan said.
Ryan.
I don't
What Ryan
get scared.
said.
Mm-hmm. I don't get scared at horror films. I don't like scream at jump scares. I don't like, well, Alien made me scream at a jump scare, but it takes place in space. I have said to Sharai multiple times too. The only thing that will scare me and make me nervous is stuff that takes place in space. I guess it's because there is such an unknown. We like to pretend that we know so much about space and what goes on, but do we actually? We hardly know how to take care of the damn Earth.
Right.
So when we venture out into a place that we know that like, you can't step out of like a bubble up there or you can't breathe. And like, what is up there? Who is up there? The fact that UFOs are now real and confirmed now, I'm just questioning a whole lot of things. But it's just very much like space is scary. Right.
Yes.
Are they hiring?
Oh my God.
Beat me up, please.
That's like
If aliens invade, I'm gonna say, you know what? Please just come get us.
Just
We
take
kind of
us.
deserve it at this point. Save us.
I literally
Yeah,
just said that on Twitter,
me
Josh.
away.
I was like, we're not even using the Earth correctly. So like, just come on, like,
Come
just
get us.
come get us. Come pick me up, Mom. I'm scared.
Yeah.
Like,
Beat me up.
I literally said the same thing though, Josh, about like, I love horror, but I don't love, like, there's certain aspects that I don't like we've talked about this before. A lot of body horror really gets to me, but I love slashers. So obviously Alien the entire series is almost all body horror. So this was like 6 wild movies to watch through. But this movie to me does what all good horror, when I wind up liking it best, does. I get a sense of dread, of like hopelessness. And to me, that's the real horror. So like, I always go back to Night of the Living Dead because I'm a huge Romero fan, but like, it's that contained hopelessness. And that's literally what Alien does best, is that it puts you in a space where you're like, there's nowhere to run. I can't hide. I don't know how to fight it. And in my opinion, if you're looking at it through especially like a feminist lens, and especially with Ripley as the main character, it is literally like an allegory of a woman's life, like here on Earth. Like, it doesn't matter where we go, there's some kind of threat following us, or we're told to like hold your keys between your knuckles when you walk to your car. I've literally been told, because I have super long hair, to not wear my hair in a ponytail when I run so that somebody can't grab it. And I was like, first of all, if they can catch me, like, good luck. But but in all seriousness, like, she's in this contained space where she doesn't make the rules. There's something chasing her that she's told isn't a threat. She's being gaslit the whole time. And then on top of that, there's a constant fear of being literally impregnated. So it's like, by something you don't want to impregnate you. So to me, this is like this is why I love this movie so much. I think it's the perfect allegory for, like, honestly, just being a woman, but especially like going from being told that, like, okay, if you can achieve this very narrow, specific set of like what a woman is, this femininity, we're going to reward you with attention and time and affection. But then when she's, you know, the leader and masculine and everything, she's punished. And so, yeah, I think it's a great, like, being on the ship is just like being a woman on Earth. Like, that's why space scares me, but it's not that different.
Because even also, she's the one who's like, we shouldn't do this. This is a bad fucking idea. And they're like, can't hear you. You're a woman. Let them on. And then she like, hear the fallout. That's every job I've ever had. Every fucking job I've ever had. I'm like, this is a bad idea. All the lawsuits. Can't hear you.
All the guy friends that are like, we should go to this dive bar in the middle of the Upper East Side at 12 o'clock in the morning by ourselves. And you're like, should we?
Yeah, like, first of all, this is the first film that actually made me scared of space. Because, like, before this, you were watching like Star Wars, but it's like, oh, it's fun. We're in space and we're gonna go shoot people or whatever. It's not super scary. Or Star Trek or Doctor Who. Nothing before this was like, this is how fucking scary space is.
Yeah.
You don't know what the hell is out here. Get ready for it. But also imagine for a second if they hadn't have cast Sigourney Weaver and they had cast a man as Ripley, it would have been a completely different film.
It wouldn't have been as effective.
We would not have been
exactly.
Successful. I do genuinely wonder if it would have been critically panned had it been a man, because at that point, doesn't it kind of just end up the Terminator?
Yeah.
In a way,
At that point, just like, what was new about it? What was different about it? What was kind of, and I guess that also speaks to the audience. Who connects to it? Who really has anything like? I mean, Jamie just perfectly said something that, like, I had never thought about with this movie. I don't think a lot probably thought about this movie, but it offers up so much deeper of an analysis. And I also think that that's also something that makes this movie so scary, is that it does open up this question, because had it been a man, it'd just been cool. Yeah. And that's it.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
No more men in horror films.
Wait. Unless it's Patrick Wilson, in which case, yes. But
no, I'll get conjured. I can get conjured right now. But like everybody else.
I have not seen the newest Conjuring yet. That's still on my list to do. And the Conjuring movies have a special place in my heart, so I'm very, very excited to watch the third one.
You should have joined the Clubhouse.
Yeah.
We watched it together.
I saw that happening. My partner and I have been binging Legendary and Hacks on HBO Max, and we just moved into our new apartment. So we have a whole lot of like boxes that are still around and everything. So we've been kind of just unpacking our lives out of that. But yes, Legendary. That's an entire different conversation.
Love Legendary.
Legendary is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I don't think it would have been as effective as a film with a male lead. Like, I just think it would have been another, maybe not even Terminator, but it would have just been a generic, like, okay, a hero kills some creatures.
Yeah. Well, like, I think also Sigourney Weaver is so underrated just as an actress.
100%.
Yeah.
That scene where she finds out that the company has basically screwed them from the beginning. Love it. When she finds out the company that they're working for has screwed them from the beginning, they knew this creature was out there. That's what they were doing. And then the screen pans back and you see Ash next to her. The acting is incredible in that moment.
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
I think it was. Sorry, sure. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was going to say you couldn't even escape capitalism in space because they're still like bottom dollar.
No.
Fuck you all.
Yeah.
True.
Like, I like how.
Sorry, that's ultimately like why they had to go to the new planet anyways, because we have to. We won't get paid. It is in our contract that our lives matter less than this new species that we have to go, check on.
Right.
That's what I was going to say, Josh.
Yeah. Ash was not even part of the crew until like 2 days before, because like when her and Dallas are having that like quiet fight, which I was like, y'all could use some volume. But he was like, we had a different science person and they gave me Ash and this is what it is. He's a science person. And I was like, so cool. Your science person's being weird and they were thrown at you 2 days before you left the ship. That feels fishy and feels wrong.
The use of milk in this movie disturbs me on such a deep level. Like when they were filming it, you guys know the story, right? About like
tell it.
They used actual milk. So like when he's all like curdled and stuff, like it smelled like that, at least according to, the blogs and stuff that I've read. So the use of milk and like lube in this movie, it made it feel so, I was like, why is everything slippery? Like, why is everything, what? Like, I just heard like Migos in my head. Slippery. Like that's like, and of course, like my significant other is like, what's wrong with you? But I think that's something it does really well too, is that when it comes down to it, it shows us like, okay, when push comes to shove, can we make these difficult decisions? And they feel like real decisions. Like in other sci-fi movies, they don't feel real because they're like, we have to get the time turner stone and put it in the crown of Balthazar and place it on the altar. And you're like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means.
Right.
But or you have like some physicist who's like, there's 25 quarks left to the right of the, black hole, and we're gonna hit warp speed. And I'm just like, yeah,
English.
But yeah, and like, I like go full like stupid actor brain when they start talking about that. I'm like, what? But in Alien, there's like a visceral, very real threat. And I'm sorry, but when he drops from the ceiling the second time and it like scuttles across the floor,
yes,
to me it's the grossest thing I've seen in a horror movie in a long time, and that's including stuff like, Saw, all of the Saw movies, like all that. Having something foreign in your body is so horrifying to me as a woman, especially, where I'm just like, oh, this is terrifying. So when people say that it's not a scary movie, I'm baffled. I'm truly baffled. I'm just like, have you watched this in the last 5 years?
Yeah.
The second he falls out at the dinner table, which is 57
Oh my God.
in, and something rips its way out of him, we're in a horror movie. Because before that, you're like, okay, run a spaceship, doing space shit. Got it. Space Girl Summer. And then all of a sudden, he's like, oh, no. And you're like, oh, this is a horror movie.
Can we make it a thing this summer, Space Girl Summer?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to wear my space buns.
It does make me really wish that I was there in the era and the time watch this movie when it like premieres. You kind of don't get that with horror movies anymore. Horror movies now, you know if it's supposed to be a horror movie, if it's supposed to be a thriller. The trailers and the marketing and the media and like pre-screen reviews, they all kind of tell you how you're supposed to feel about a movie before you see it. And so there is kind of a thing that like I think about with The Exorcist a lot. And I guess I can make the same comparison with Alien. People were throwing up in the theater and like on the streets whenever they saw The Exorcist, and the iconic chest burster scene in Alien. It's iconic, and people talk about like how they felt when they first watched it. And for me, I'd never seen the movie before, but I knew it was coming, so I kind of had like this preconceived notion about how I was supposed to feel watching it. And I won't lie, there is a part of me that because I knew it was coming and because I knew how iconic it was supposed to be, it left me feeling a little underwhelmed. And I think the payoff for that would have been so much better had I gone into these movies, you know, completely oblivious to what they were supposed to be about. And I do think that maybe that is something smart. Why the movie's pacing, you don't find out it's a horror movie until 50 minutes in, because then it kind of just flips everything on its head and it just becomes a suspense horror film that you're just like, oh, holy shit, we're here for something completely different than I thought we were coming in for. And I love that.
How many of us actually watch multiple trailers of a movie anymore?
I try not to.
Exactly.
I don't. Yeah.
Exactly. I cut it off. Like if I see like a little, sometimes they'll tweet like a shorter teaser, you know, instead of the whole trailer. I don't watch movies. Excuse me. I don't watch trailers for movies anymore. I watch lots of movies because it sets that expectation of, okay, there's going to be this scene and then there's going to be this scene. And I talked about this in a room on Clubhouse when we were discussing The Witch. That movie, I know, has very mixed reviews for people, but I went in only knowing the title and the tagline, and I wound up really enjoying it. Like I think part of it too is like, again, with the marketing, I just think of 2001: A Space Odyssey. So I actually saw Alien first, and then I saw 2001, and I know they came out opposite order. But that's arguably, to me, that's the first horror movie in space, because I think it's a scary horror movie. But I think with Alien, they actually didn't give away that much in marketing. Like you were saying, Josh, like all the trailers I went back and watched after I rewatched it, they don't really talk, like they show bits and pieces. But then for everything from Aliens forward, they do. They give away a lot in the trailer. And I think that really like screws with the audience's perception. And I think it colors their overall, like you said, like their review. I think if you don't watch trailers, you enjoy the movie more.
I agree. I also think that that's really why I'm very, very excited to move forward during these next 2 days and just go watch them now, because I won't lie. I know nothing about Aliens. I know nothing about Resurrection. I know nothing about Covenant. I have seen parts of Prometheus. I know like what the outcome of Prometheus is, just because, you know, I had friends in college who watched it and had it on me and everything. But other than that, I know Winona Ryder is in one of the movies. Can't wait to see her.
That's what I thought part of.
Yeah, but I don't know anything else that's about to come. So I'm very, very excited to have just like a full, honest opinion that is not tainted by anything. So excited.
So, okay, one of the parts that made me laugh, and it might have been because of a movie that Sharai and I had just got done covering, but I don't want to say anything about because it's coming out later. But is the scene, I can't remember, what's the captain's name?
Dallas.
I think I know what you're about to say. So go ahead.
I already know.
He's going down. They're trying to flush out the monster and the air ducts or whatever, and he shines the light on, and it's like, "Hey,
Surprise!"
That's the part that made me scream. I was so angry. I was watching it with my partner, and I was just like, okay, I know what's going to happen. It's a classic horror trope. We all know the jump scare is about to happen. I'm here expecting, holy shit, there he is. It made me scream.
It was the physicality of like,
It did the...
I'm here.
It did the Italian hands. It did the, what are you going to do?
So good.
The other time I laughed is at the end when she's like, she knocks it off of the ship and then it bounces back and it hits it and you hear the thud. I lost my shit because you had the like giant alien in space like, Dumb. And it's like, who did that? Cut that sound. You don't need that sound.
Or does that sound reminiscent of when Russell Crowe dies in Les Miserables? Whenever he just like throws himself off of the tower, and it's like this. For the movie, I like the movie. I'm a fan of Les Mis the movie.
I like the movie. Yeah.
It did not need to have the whenever he hit the. It was just like, oh, we were almost there.
The Foley artist is just in the studio, like, how can I make this ridiculous?
How can I make Russell Crowe more of a joke than he already is in this movie?
Well, the thump that Sharai is talking about, the moment that Trent was talking about, and then oh my God, anytime that Ripley had to like sigh, she does this, and it's a Sigourney Weaver tick, because like some actors do it too, when they're like and they like unhinge their jaw to sigh. And she's just like 3,000% done with everybody the whole movie. Like if you go back and watch it now after we talk about this, from like the 45-minute mark on, she's doing a lot of like and it's just, I don't know why it sends me every time, but it's a lot of mouth breathing. And I'm like, are you okay? Like, do you need some like sinus?
Now that you say that, she does that a lot. And she does it in other movies as well. You're so right.
I notice, because I'm an actor, like I notice when other actors have something they do frequently. And I'll talk about this later because I have like pages and pages of notes for the sequel and for Aliens 3. But she dials it back in Aliens 3 after she shaves her head. And I was like, I was like, breathing connected to hair, ? Like, and she's like, but she does such a good job in this movie of being, I'm glad this movie came out when it did as well, because if this came out in 2021, I'm just thinking of all the like shitty memes people would make of it, where someone would be like, yes, queen. Like I was on Tumblr in 2011. I saw like when people would make those like collages of all their favorite characters, and someone photoshopped like a crown on her head. And I'm just like, did you see the other movies? Like, okay. But I think I'm glad this movie came out when it did too, because like you were saying, Sharai, like they imagine the future is somehow still 80s, like still, it's forever 87 apparently in their mind. I love it.
The very, very end is very 80s space explosion where it's just bright colors, neon lights.
I was like, we're supposed to be in the future, not the past, and they were like, nope, shoulder pads on everybody. Also.
Shoulder pads will never go out of style, Sharai. Never.
I love shoulder pads.
Why were they all so sweaty on this ship? Like, do they have AC on the ship?
I told you. They're all like lubricated. Like everything is like sponsored by Kira. Like they're cheap. Like I was like, oh, that highlighter's popping. Oh, it's sweat. Like
look, they're going through some crazy situations on this ship. I mean, you got fucking alien states. I'll be sweating too, and I naturally get hot really fast, so I will be dead.
Same.
So,
also, all the food in this whole series, the food in this one and the food in Aliens, the way that it's packaged is like what tech bros in Silicon Valley want to do. Like when they make that Soylent stuff, like that's what they like. That's what it looks like to me. Like they pour Cheerios out of like a nondescript space box. And I'm just like, was that to like not have Cheerios in space? Like, was that what that was? But nothing looks appetizing. None of it. And I'm just
give them any money. That's what that was.
No, that's what KY does.
KY
does. We know.
Title of the episode, sponsored by KY Jelly. Like, also, like, anytime that Ripley or any of the other members, like when they're still alive, have to cut into the xenomorph, I watched tons of like medical based, like stuff, but the acid blood is such a screwed up like part of that story. And when they're watching it like fall through all the layers of the ship, of course, what's his face is like, oh, we're gonna follow it and see how far down it goes, and he stands directly underneath it, and I'm just like,
they was like, don't stand underneath it. What the fuck?
I think doesn't Parker? Is it Parker that says don't stand underneath it, or is it
Parker? Yeah. I was like, Parker's a whole vibe. The only one besides Ripley that has any sense. Like they're just like, can we not do this right now? And I think it's a good use of it throughout the whole first 3 movies. They do a really good job of using the acid blood as like a signifier that the aliens are around. They do a lot of really good show don't tell in the other movies. This one, obviously, we had to do a lot more of both.
The alien was drooling a lot in this one.
Yes. Oh my god.
Yeah. But I like that though. I mean, well, not in a good way, but I like it in not in a good way, but for like a hard aspect. Because it was just like that was one of the things that scared me about the alien, like that close up of it like shuddering, and then you just see all that drool coming out. Like that's an iconic shot to me. That's what I meant by liking.
I agree with you. I think it's also something that makes it even scarier when at the very, very end of the movie you get the full reveal of what the alien looks like. Because for so long, especially in the death scenes, you really only get a shadow or a glimpse or like the teeth like projecting out. And I do think it's very, very interesting that at the time when you do finally get the full reveal of the alien at the end of the movie is when he's weak and when he's tired and when he's just kind of not. I mean, he's hiding. He stuck himself in the place, and it is kind of like this thing where it's just like it is kind of a thing. Do we only see him because he is vulnerable?
Yeah.
The way that alien hid is because it was always like in the ceiling somewhere or in like a little nook or a cranny. I couldn't help but wonder if this is an alien / space roach. And that's why it's really an infestation, because he hides in the grossest places and he's always like near the food. And I was like, oh,
it's a roach.
I've never thought about that.
That's why
too.
I'm not kidding you guys. This is how I feel about because I'll eat crab if it's in like crab cakes, but I can't do like crab like where you have to crack it yourself because, and you're gonna laugh, I saw this movie when I was 8 years old, and then we went to the beach like the week after, and I was like, oh my god, like oh no. And I literally call lobsters like roaches of the sea because they're all related. Like crustaceans and roaches are literally the same, like genetically similar family. And so now every time I watch this movie, I'm like, oh my God, this is like what happens when we finally pollute the earth so much that the oceans are like, F you, I'm out. Like that's what this is. And also like with all the UAP stuff coming out, I was dying because of what we talked about this on Clubhouse, Sharai, how like all this like UFO, UAP came out and life is so batshit right now that everybody was like, I'm just too busy for this. Like I don't, no one cares. Like, I know. And rewatching this now, it makes me laugh because I'm like, the US government would literally never put this much money into the space program. Like literally never, unless we were being attacked, and then it became Department of Defense. Like this whole movie, I was like, this is what Space Force thinks they are, but what Space Force actually is like Roxanne. Like
it's Space Force once Dolly Parton breaks down to fund it. What?
Yes,
that's what it is.
Yeah,
because the government they're not even a part of NASA anymore, right? Didn't NASA
correct? Yeah, NASA is now not government. It's confusing. Whatever.
I should ask my friend Cameron. He works there.
Just more things for the government to lie about. So at this point, it's just like I feel like so desensitized to everything that's happening. I'm just like,
we're gonna tune in for Aliens. We're going to tune in for Aliens too, and Josh is going to have a tinfoil hat.
He's going to be like, guys, everybody, it's real.
It makes sense.
I have the answer. What's that meme? Like,
oh, yeah.
Putting it all together.
That meme of Charlie Day. That's going to be the next 3 episodes.
Oh
my God.
We should get into some hot takes. Like, what are our alien hot takes?
Bobby, why don't you go first?
Yeah.
You guys are like freezing up on me. I don't know if my Wi-Fi is acting weird. I'm sorry. You said we getting into some hot takes?
Yeah, you go first.
You said like what?
Hot takes. You want to go first? Like, what's your hot take for this movie?
Oh, okay. I mean, I love this movie. Yeah, I mean, I love everything about this movie. Sigourney Weaver, she's all that. That's my babe. That's my girl. And like rewatching this movie, like preparing for this, like I have a much better respect because I remember watching this as a kid with my grandfather, and it terrified me. But watching it as an adult, I get to see a lot of things that I forgot about back then, and I love this movie. Now, a lot of people still come at me when I say part 2 is better than the first one, and I understand why. But again, part 2, like I said before, I just had a good time with. But this one, just put yourself in that situation. You're in space. There's nowhere for you to go. And this thing is coming after you, trying to, kill you. And you can't really do anything because if you shoot it, it got acid blood. It's going to fucking melt your face off. You have no choice but to throw it from the damn shit. You know what I mean? So, and I just have to say real quick, Jamie, you ruined crabs for me. Because now every time I see a crab, I'm going to think of it as a face hugger, and it's just going to come alive and just like. I love crabs, but now I just like, damn, I never compared the two, but okay. But I know I love this movie. I rated a 4.5 out of a 5 on Letterboxd. It's a good time. It's one of the scariest movies like ever in the world, in my opinion. And yes, I'm calling it a horror movie because it is. And yeah.
Awesome. Josh, what's yours?
I really like this movie. I think that there's something, we are so conditioned to wanting things to happen fast, to happen now, to do this. And I think something that this movie, along with the original Halloween movie, do is that they make suspense scary. You are scared because of the suspense. And I think that this is something that is just like, it's terrifying. And I only having seen it like 2 or 3 times in my life, and just, I love this movie a lot. My one hot take though, Sigourney Weaver's underwear in this movie seems like the most uncomfortable thing. And I don't know, it makes so much sense to me why she is so terrified in this movie. Every single time she undresses to get into the spacesuit, I just think, why did they do this to her? Why is this a thing? But that's just my one hot take for that.
Jamie, what's yours?
Josh, just wait.
That's why I'm just chuckling over here, just like, wait.
Just wait. I honestly think this is one of the most perfect horror movies ever made, to be completely honest, and that's my hot take. I do agree that I come from the camp of like almost all movies could be cut down to 90 minutes. Like to me, like 90 to 100 minutes is like the perfect runtime, but that's a personal preference. But kind of what Josh was saying, like I think we're conditioned to kind of want the, automatic action, but the suspense is there. Like this movie genuinely gives me that sense of dread that I look for in a horror film. Because like we can watch The Conjuring all day long. It doesn't necessarily scare me. It makes my heart beat faster because I'm like on edge of what's going to happen next. But so do thrillers, so do action movies, things like that. This movie executes the horror genre, I think, perfectly, especially certain tropes. And I like that Ripley is more than a final girl. She's the everything. She's the mother of the cat at the end. Like I don't want to spoil anything for part 2 for Josh. She's the ultimate like savior of the ship itself. And she wants her colleagues, to be what's left of them to be preserved when they get back to Earth. She lobbies for better, treatment of everybody on the ship, better plan, execution, everything. And again, I think it's not even a gripe. It's just a personal thing that we could have cut like 10 or 15 minutes, like here and there, mostly for modern audiences. Yeah, my hot take is that like people that don't like this movie or don't think it's scary should go watch it alone in the dark.
Yes.
Yes.
Loud. If you got like a surround sound or sound or whatever, watch it loud.
Yes.
It's great.
Sharai, what's yours?
She's frozen.
We lost Sharai?
Did we lose her? Birthday girl, come back to
Birthday girl's frozen. The face hugger dropped down from the ceiling.
Well, I'll go ahead and do mine and maybe she'll come back. Okay. So my hot take is I wish more. Oh,
we lost her. It's okay.
We lost her. Okay. Well,
this is the beginning of our
horror movie.
This is it here.
How many more Ellie movies y'all got to go?
Right. So I wish more writers would play with the idea of really considering when gender is needed and when it's not needed. Because I think part of what makes Ripley great, whether or not it's played by a woman or a man, is that it's written as neither. It's written as a character first and foremost. And I don't know who wrote this, but whoever did. Oh wait, I should know that. Anyways, knew that didn't matter. That it could be played by either one, and it would still be magnificent. So
Exactly.
I wish more writers would do that.
And I think they did a really good job, like you were saying, Trent, of it was writing a character like a whole human being. And I think there's too many characters, especially within horror, because I love my campy horror too, with like the tropes. I mean, again, slasher is my favorite subgenre, so there's plenty of things to be said there. Ryan, me, silly. Yes, Ryan, ladies and gentlemen, the original writer of Alien, who apparently wrote it before he was born. Like decades before he was born. I think, again, this is the ultimate, the first, again, 57-ish minutes are like the ultimate subtle dread that I think makes it work as an entire film.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
no, I agree. The dread, like when you were saying that, Jamie, now I think about it, it is like a huge sense of dread throughout this whole movie.
The whole movie.
Like, shit, it is. I love it.
Well, even in adding that, you also have to like think about only one person survives.
Yeah.
Out of this entire crew, like
and a
only
cat.
one person survives. And a
And
cat.
the cat.
One person.
And a cat.
The most important.
Don't forget the cat.
Right. I hate it in movies when animals die, so I'm very, very happy
Me
that the cat
too.
survived. It's
And
so
I was
rude.
scared because I forgot, and then it was that shot of the cat, and then the alien like looking at it, and I was just like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit!" And
Don't
then
you do
at the end, you realized that the cat was still alive. So I was like, "Good." Yes.
All right. Well, we'll just get Sharai. Well, no, Sharai said her hot take earlier, didn't she? About she just thought it should be shorter.
That it was, she was
Too
going to say
long.
that she wants it like 30 minutes shorter.
So,
Because we talked about it too earlier, but yeah.
right. And if she wants to add another one, we can do that. We cover aliens. So we'll be back at I don't know what time that one is. Does anyone know what time?
4:30.
4:30 Eastern time. We'll be back talking about aliens. So see you all there. Thank you, Bobby, for joining us.
No, of course. Is anybody joining you guys for Aliens?
I don't know. Sharai.
It is. I'm not sure if it's
Because Jazz and
Ryan.
tomorrow. Ryan
Yeah.
sometime. But you can hop on if you want to.
Yeah, because originally I signed on for Aliens, but then I think it got all mixed up for Alien, and also, you know what, it worked out because I had something to do at 4:30, but that fell through, so I might be able to join you guys for
Okay.
Yeah, hop on.
That's cool. Okay,
Awesome.
thanks for having me.
Go watch the movie.
Yeah, let's
Yes.
go.
Yes, go watch the movie.
See you all in a couple
Right away.
hours.
All right. See you in a bit.
Bye.
Bye.